Hi, this is Barry Levitt, jazz pianist and producer on Dave's Gone By on WGBB.
Welcome back to Dave's Gone By, and we're getting musical on this particular edition of the radio show, and talking to someone who I'm really excited to talk to because he's dealt with legends, and he's also been in the music world and in the Broadway and theater music world for good 20 or 30 years now. And of course, that's the world that I love and that I care so much about. And this is a person who has conducted and arranged things on Broadway in cabaret situations. He's also been the head, briefly, of an organization devoted to cabaret performers. He's also a jazz pianist, and he's kind of getting back seriously into that. And so we've got a lot of stuff to talk about with Barry Levitt. Hello, Barry. Welcome to the Daverhood.
Nice to be here. Thanks for having me.
And one of the reasons also that you're here is you're not only playing piano and directing, but kind of producing a show in it's sort of a mix of cabaret and revue off-Broadway-ish, but it's in Birdland, which is a jazz cabaret venue.
Right.
What's the show?
The show is Her Song. It's a salute to the great women songwriters from the early part of the century right up to present day. And every song in the show was written either in whole or part by a woman. It's performed by a cast of...
Performed essentially by a whole. No, I'm kidding. I don't know what that means.
Performed by a cast of marvelously talented four young women who sing up a storm, and Birdland is located at 315 West 44th
get the plug in. It's like 8th Avenue and 44th, right?
Between 8th and 9th on 44th. Full service menu. Wonderful food.
Yeah, the food looked really good.
Yeah, terrific food. And we're running Saturdays and Sundays at 5:30.
And it's a very enjoyable show. Again, the women come out and they sing songs from all different periods, up from like Billie Holiday and Bessie Smith era blues to the 60s. So what are some of the songs in the show?
Well, a lot of these songs that were written by women, most people know the songs, but they have no idea who wrote them. I mean, that's true of male composers and lyricists as well. But, for instance, the wonderful Billie Holiday song, God Bless the Child, very few people realize that Billie wrote the song.
No, I had no idea. Yeah.
Exactly.
Did she write Strange Fruit, too, or did she just put that to another...
No, that was a Jewish school teacher from the South. Whose name I can't recall right now.
Moish.
Something like that. But Billie wrote that. She also wrote her other...
Actually, when he was writing Strange Fruit, it was really about etrogs. And they took it in a totally different way.
Just in time for suckers.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly. So, and some of the other tunes that are in Her Song.
Okay, for example, on the patriotic side, everybody knows that Irving Berlin wrote "God Bless America." Mm-hmm. This is very well known.
And God Help Us, White Christmas. I don't know what he was
thinking.
thinking.
Right, White Christmas and Easter Parade.
Right.
But nobody that I've ever encountered outside of the business or a select circle of people who know and care about these things, nobody's aware that Catherine Lee Bates wrote America the Beautiful, which is the other big patriotic song.
No, we're not talking about Kathy Bates, the fat actress.
Catherine Lee Bates.
Vertically challenged, I'm sorry. Horizontally challenged, yeah.
Predates Kathy Bates by about 70 years.
So, and that was a surprise to me. Some of the other tunes in the show, I was like, I had no clue.
Sure.
And Dorothy Fields.
Of course, everybody knows. Well, not everybody.
No, not really. I mean...
But her songs are very well known to the general
public. Such as
On the Sunny Side of the Street, I Can't Give You Anything But Love.
She was the lyricist for these, and she was working with Kern and some other folks.
She worked with some of the great composers, with Kern, with Jimmy McHugh, and late in her career with Cy Coleman, and wrote Sweet Charity.
Wow, okay, cool.
From Whence Comes Where Am I Going, which we perform in the show.
So let's jump to that immediately, because you're mentioning some of the major influences and composers for theater and of our time, for even the pop era.
Sure.
Who are some that you've been in contact with, worked with, got a chance to observe?
Well, one of the great opportunities that came my way over the course of my career was to be involved with the Lyrics and Lyricists program at the 92nd Street Y. I was artistic director there from 98 through 2003. But before that, I had the great pleasure of working with my friend and mentor, Maurice Levine, as a music director for those programs.
He founded that series, right?
He founded
the
that
92nd
series.
Street Y.
Yep. And he ran it until his death in '98. And
actually, he ran it for a year after his death too. That was really amazing.
It was strange how he did that, but only Maurice could do that. I'll tell you. If you knew him, it wouldn't surprise anybody. But Maurice was, as I said, a friend and a mentor, and I had 17 years working with Maurice there on the program. So, as a result, I met not many, but a few of the great legendary, songwriters and lyricists,
such as
Leo Robin,
mm-hmm.
who wrote "Beyond the Blue Horizon." Oh, gee, let me not get this wrong.
Well, that's a song. Was that a show?
He wrote the lyrics. Gentlemen Prefer Blondes with Julie Stein. He was
cool.
the lyricist on that. And Leo also wrote many, many wonderful songs for the movies with Ralph Ranger.
Okay. So he showed up at a... You might as well tell people what Lyrics and Lyricists is. We're maybe jumping the gun a little bit.
It was a lecture, a performance series at the 92nd Street Y, which was originally started to bring attention to one of the great unknown quantities in American popular music, the guys who wrote the words. That's how they started, and when Maurice started the series, he had the living, breathing lyricists on that stage. The very first season, he had Dorothy Fields on that stage.
Right.
He had Alan J. Lerner on that stage, and getting back to my first involvement, Leo Robin was there. He sang "Thanks for the Memory," which he wrote the lyrics to. It was my great, great pleasure to play the piano for Leo Robin as he sang that song. And we had a couple of people who could sing a little bit in that cast. We had Julius LaRosa, Margaret Whiting, and Marlene Verplank. And we just sat around and sang Leo Robin tunes all afternoon.
I believe it,
and it was incredible.
But you use Lyrics and Lyricists in the past tense. Have they stopped it?
They haven't stopped it, but I'm no longer involved with the series. And now that you've brought the subject up, I think they've strayed from the original intention.
So now it's more of a review cabaret thing, or what?
Well,
or are there no longer that many great lyricists to interview from the era when we care?
Unfortunately, there's hardly anybody left. All the great ones are gone.
Well, except Stephen.
Well, Stephen, and both Sondheim and Schwartz, they're still very much alive. Stephen Sondheim did do one appearance on Lyrics and Lyricists in the about 74, somewhere around there. But as far as who's left today, I mean, there's still some fine lyricists.
Like
Zippel.
If you want to talk to some of the modern ones, sure, I'm sure they'd love to be.
Craig Cornelia is a wonderful writer.
Is it Flaherty or Ahrens? Ahrens, yeah. But again, why do you think that currently Lyrics and Lyricists has strayed somewhat from the charter, the mandate?
Well.
Or woman date, if you're straight. In
the developmental years, in the heyday of Lyrics and Lyricists, and without sounding immodest, through my tenure as artistic director.
Oh, blow your own horn.
I'm not shy about doing that. But
well, if your neck is flexible enough.
It is. Look, I've worked too hard and too long to be shy about it.
Okay. Oh, well.
There was one central direction. As with a symphony orchestra, you may have guest conductors, but it's one music director who oversees the overall programming, the overall thematic development of the season, and that is that kind of direction comes best from one central figure. Not that you don't have advice and people you work with, but it still should have one central focus, and they've decided to abandon that. They don't have an artistic director. They have 5 different artistic directors for each series. So, accordingly, the series has no focus whatsoever.
Right.
It's a show. Some of them are very good, and some of them are not so good.
So you still go to them? You're still.
I have my spies who attend these things.
Oh man! But you mentioned Leo Robin. Okay, who were some of the others during 1998 to 2004? Unless you want to reach back into when you were just music director for it. I mean,
Arthur Schwartz managed to make an appearance.
Okay.
During my tenure as artistic director, most of the great ones were gone by then.
Right. So, but when you were music director, I mean, you were there in the room. What were the stories that some of the greats were telling?
I can't tell them on air.
Yeah, no. You can.
No, a lot of the backstories.
Yeah.
First of all, just as a general kind of feel for who these guys were, people like Julie Stein and even Richard Rodgers and Hammerstein.
Yes.
The one through line that I observed over the years was these were tough guys. They not like gangsters or anything like that, but they were hard guys. They didn't take any guff. They had to be because the generations that they came up in, the producers that they worked with, they had to be on their guard, and they had to protect their business interests, and they also had to protect their music.
Right.
So they had a tough edge to them. Richard Rodgers was a very, very tough businessman, very tough. But I think he was right to do that. But Julie. He was a hard-nosed toughie. Sammy Cahn, all that whole generation of songwriters.
And of the folks that you invited in when you were the head of lyrics and lyricists, who was your favorite?
Well, just as far as people and performers, I mean, Julie Wilson always ranks very high on the list. There's not a finer person in the business. She's a class act. She's a very, very supportive person, a wonderfully giving person, and she always delivers on stage. Yeah.
I mean, I've never seen her be anything but really. I mean, when I'm sitting next to her in a cabaret thing, she's just a wonderful lady.
Julie's the kind of person that I played for Julie in 1973 at the long departed Persian Room of the Plaza Hotel.
Oh, wow. Now it's called the Rock Room, and nobody goes.
Now, unfortunately, it's the Nothing Room. It doesn't exist. I was by there the other day, and they're tearing the plaza up, and, making it into something that none of us will recognize. But so I worked with her about 73, 74. I did some dates with her, and then a long stretch of time went by, and maybe 12 or 15 years went by before I saw Julie. And I bump into her, and she comes over to me, and she says, without missing a beat, she says, "Hi, Barry, how are you? And how's your lovely wife, Brenda?"
Shoot.
And that's Julie. That's Julie.
That's wonderful. All right, that's a lovely story. That's a happy kind of story. Now let's talk about your year or however long it was as head of the Manhattan Association of Cabarets and Clubs. We're here with Barry Levitt, by the way, who is the pianist, conductor, composer, well, not composer, but director and producer of her song. But you were the head of MAC, is what they were called, for when and how long and what happened?
My involvement with MAC started when I was approached to produce the MAC Awards show by the then president, Michael Ostwanek. And I did so for a couple of years. I wound up getting involved in the organization. I joined the board. The elections came up for the president, and I got elected president of MAC. My tenure was one term, 2 years. I joined the organization because I felt it was one way of starting to give back to a business that's been very good to me. I wanted to see what I could do to help raise the profile of the organization, to help raise the profile of live performers, every live performer in the world.
Sure.
Because goodness knows it's a tough road. And I felt that was one way I could do it. I vowed that I would never get involved in anything that resembled MAC bashing, and I still won't.
Well, certainly not as president, but...
No, but even as ex-president, I'm no longer on the board. I'm no longer involved with the organization. But there's, there are structural problems and a perception problem with the organization. There's a membership that is, sad to say, not as active as I think they could be. Everything is pro bono with MAC. Nobody gets paid. People volunteer their time and their talents to do what is a very difficult and more often than not thankless job.
Promoting New York cabaret?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I understand it's difficult.
It's a pretty ethereal notion to begin with. I mean, because more often than not, I'm asked by people all the time, well, what is cabaret? And I can't tell them. By my definition, cabaret does not exist as an art form. Cabaret is a location. It's a venue. within those four walls that are cabaret, many things happen. You can see a wonderful jazz performance. You can see a wonderful country western performance. You can see people doing original material. You can see people doing rock and roll. Shall I go on?
Well, it's like the duplex.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a wide range of activities and different types of shows and different talents that are put on display within those four walls.
Okay.
So, in all fairness to everybody, you can't lump everybody together and say they're a cabaret performer.
All right.
But
you have to in the context of the MAC Award. Just the Oscars, you've got to do short subjects and animation and features.
And we do. We do. There are many different categories within the MAC Awards and within all of that.
So, but I'm trying to get at the fact of why it was such a... You seem like those 2 years were not fun.
They weren't.
So dish. You don't have to bash, but you do have to dish.
Okay. Let me get to certain specific things that happen within any subgroup, any niche-oriented organization, because it's something I said on my very first night as president of the organization. We're small, we're powerless. If we don't work together, we have nothing. We have absolutely nothing. Just as a goal to try to get people motivated and interested. But yet, what the constituency of the organization seems to be are very separate, disparate, singular fields of interest and endeavor that have not yet come to grips with the fact that there's a larger picture at stake here other than one's own individual performance.
Okay.
That has to be the overriding truth of the organization.
So who are some of the people you hate? You can just give me the initials.
I don't hate anybody. I haven't got time for that in my life.
Ooh,
I'm disappointed with certain people.
Give me some initials. We won't. You can bash them, but anonymously.
Let me start at the top, and I won't give you initials. I'll give you a full name. How about George Bush? He's responsible for everything that's wrong with Mac.
Well, at least it's not Clinton. At least they're not a Fox journalist and blaming Clinton for it. Yeah.
I won't take a back step on my politics. I'm a Clinton
boy. It was
boy.
Bill Clinton not allocating enough money for cabaret venues.
That's exactly right. And he should, because he's a saxophone player.
Right. The Rainbow Room, his Rainbow Stars closed because Bill Clinton had,
they could have pulled some money from somewhere.
But a little lower down towards in the cabaret field. Who's like... Who you look at and go like, oh, they could have done so much, and they were just like,
Dave, you're pulling for something here. I'm not going to give it to you.
Okay. Well, you said before we go on the edit, you kind of were, and then you're pulling back.
No, point well taken. You're absolutely right. But there are certain people out there. If anybody in the world of Mac is listening to this, they know where the battle lines were drawn and amongst whom they were drawn. My position is very simple. It's a colossal waste of time. It's absolutely counterproductive to getting any meaningful work done to further cabaret, to further the notion that there is such a thing as cabaret, the bashing that's going on, and there's a whole subculture that has developed that I choose not to be part of, and that's these internet chat boards, where I did make one statement that I sent in a letter to a reviewer, David Finkel.
Digomania, right? Or
one of those. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
In which I pointed out that I felt he was getting some of his information from chat boards. I felt that was not the best source of reliable information. That, quite frankly, a lot of what I had seen recently on chat boards far more resembled a typical everyday New York occurrence when you're walking down the street and you encounter somebody railing at the gods and ranting and raving to no one in particular for whatever reason.
That's probably me.
Well, it could be me too, but the point is that if you're walking down the street, you don't stop and engage this person in meaningful conversation or dialogue, because that's just not going to happen.
Right, okay.
So the point is that better to come to the various sources, better to, even if you feel the need to be confrontational about what you have to say to that person, to at least make the statement, establish the dialogue, and accomplish something.
Okay.
Because as far as I'm concerned, if you're criticizing me on a chat board, you have not communicated to me. If you want to criticize me,
send you an
ask
email.
me a question, write me a letter. My phone is a matter of public record.
What's your phone number, Barry?
917-853-5171.
Everybody call now.
Call now, but it's off, and we'll stay off for a while. Did I just do something stupid?
Oh, definitely. With my audience, are you kidding?
Good.
You're going to start getting pizzas.
Fine.
No, you'll have to pay for them.
No problem. I'm flush for at least another couple of days. So.
Oh, well, we're not going to flush you yet from the program. Barry Levitt, you're on Dave's Gone By. Thank you so much. I want to ask you some more questions about other folks that you've worked with, especially as a music director and conductor, and a little bit more about Her Song, which is the show that you're working on and producing. But first, we got to do a little business. So we'll be back with Barry Levitt on Dave's Gone By right after this. Did you know that I, Dave, am not just a fantastic radio personality, I'm also a playwright, and my book, Marriage, Babies, and the End of the World, is filled with the same humor I bring to Dave's Gone By every week. Funny, sad, true. Makes a great gift. Marriage, Babies, and the End of the World, only $20 hardcover, $12 trade paperback. To get your copy, call 516-295-1511 or email davesgoneby@aol.com. What's playing on Broadway? I'll tell you what's playing on Broadway, and I'll do it by checking Performing Arts Insider. Off-Broadway, off-Broadway, off-Broadway. You keep adding offs, they'll keep adding listings. Who's in the cast? What's it about? Why is it special? Performing Arts Insider is Broadway the best way. 516-295-1511. 516-295-1511 or see performingartsinsider.com. I love Internet radio. You can surf stations and music for free and listen anytime on your computer. And I love Live365.com for playing vintage episodes of Dave's Gone By Saturday nights at 11. And I love the comedy channel they're on, DFSX Radio. But those letters, DFSX, who can remember that? Good thing you don't have to. Just go to davesgoneby.org and click the link, Saturday nights at 11. Spread the radio love.
Hi, this is Barry Levitt, and you're listening to Dave's Gone By on WGBB 1240 AM.
Welcome back to Dave's Gone By and the world of music and cabaret and theater, which is a world that I love pretty much more than anything, and so apparently does Barry Levitt, my guest in the neighborhood. Barry, as we said before, he was president of Manhattan Association of Cabaret and Clubs for a while. He was also the head of lyrics and lyricists for a few years, but he's done other stuff all the way up to Broadway. You were involved musically on a couple of Broadway shows, including Catskills on Broadway.
Best job I ever had in my life.
Because?
I wound up doing that show working with comedians that I had worked with when I was first starting out in the business.
Wow.
In the late 60s and early 70s. Freddie Roman, who was...
I get the feeling he's a tough bird.
Freddie is a tough guy and a wonderful guy.
Oh, good. Oh, good.
No, believe me. A mensch of the first degree.
Lovely.
The Dean of the Friars, I believe.
Something like that,
yeah. And, Freddie, great guy. Tough businessman, but you have to be in
You
this
got it,
business.
yeah.
Sure.
And Catskills was a wonderful show. I mean, it was the four comedians, Dick Dupree. Who was the other guy? Mousy was
hysterical. That man has been making me laugh for 35 years.
Yeah.
Well, all of them.
And was Marilyn Michaels?
Marilyn Michaels started the show, which is the reason I was involved. I've been conducting for Marilyn since the 70s. An old pal, a dear friend, and a good
comedian and the voices.
Well, you know what?
Impersonations too.
She's really made her mark as an impressionist and comedian, right. But she is a hell of a singer. She is a terrific singer. And that's another thing that a lot of people forget. She was in Funny Girl. She did the first national company of Funny Girl. They could have had anybody, and they had Marilyn. And they chose Marilyn to take that out on tour.
Yeah, actually, also I want to get to some of the folks that you've worked with.
Yeah.
You know, I guess as a music director or a conductor.
Music director, conductor, pianist.
Here's a list of people: Bernadette Peters,
yep.
Eartha Kitt,
yep.
Rosemary Clooney. Tell me something about each of them.
Bernadette was only a couple of concerts, and it was an absolutely wonderful musical experience. She's a really, really fine artist, a wonderful singer. I can't say that I know her,
sure.
But she couldn't have been more pleasant or more appreciative to her entire, group of musicians. Rosie Clooney was, Rosie was.
She's dead. You can say bad things about her.
No, nothing bad. She's, again, a great singer, a great performer.
Yeah. I mean, she had her problems. I mean,
hard
certainly.
person to get to know, very guarded.
Okay.
I'd have to say, and a little bit edgy, a little bit difficult.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. That's the first nasty thing you've...
Well,
not like I'm looking for dirt, but it adds a little spice.
Eartha Kitt is an amazing performer, and but you never know which Eartha you're going to encounter.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So
night to night?
Minute to minute.
Wow.
Yeah.
But what do you do then when you're dealing with that? You just stay clear? You weren't the director. You were the music director.
But, being the music director for these people is your combination of a father figure, pianist, psychiatrist, playmate, friends. But, you have to really keep control of the situation, of the musical situation.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's difficult and sometimes not.
So at certain points, I mean, you want to massage, they're the star. I mean, you wouldn't be there if not for them, but at the same time, are there points when you say, I'm not going to take this?
Well, in the early part of my career, I really kept very silent about that kind of stuff because you're always worried about protecting the job. But as I got older and crankier, I just said, wait a minute, I have my boundaries too,
And then I'll bet they apologize. They got better quickly.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, they have any relationship like that has to be based on respect.
Now, there's only one enemy of this program. It's sort of working back, and Beck knows this. Beck is the publicist, and I thank him very much for bringing Barry Levitt to the show. He's publicist for Her Song, which is the show that you're directing and
he's
producing.
Doing a tremendous job, Beck. Thank you.
But the Mandy Patinkin is the only enemy of this program that I know of.
Wait a minute. Did Beck tell you to talk to me about Mandy?
No, but it occurred to me, because most of the people listed on your bio that you are women, so it just occurred to me that there's more than women singers. Have you ever worked with Mandy? And if you did, I want to hear the worst.
Okay, I've never worked with Mandy, but, I'm not a fan. That's all I can say. I'm just not a fan.
Just artistically, then, not even personality-wise.
Well, I went to see Wild Party, and I was sitting in the 10th row, and I was spit on, so what can I say? I said, man, you got to go some to spit that far.
Ooh, lordy.
But, which is indicative of his performance style, I would have to say.
All right. Getting snarky here. I like it. Anything you say bad about Mandy Patinkin is fine with me.
Well, you know what? I think the odds of me ever working with Mandy are run from slim to none. He's got a wonderful pianist that he's had for many, many years, who does, and I say more power to him. He's obviously a very patient man. What can I say? It's a performance style that I'm not fond of.
Were you involved with the off-Broadway, the original version of A Little Shop of Horrors?
Yes, I was, yeah.
What was that like?
It was great. It was fun. It was freewheeling. They had just had their first blush of success, and within sight of 6 months, it became apparent that they would have to open a second company. So they took the original company to Los Angeles, and they installed a whole second company in New York that included me as a pianist conductor.
Nice.
And I got to play Ellen Green's last couple of performances, and I got to play... Very few people remember this. The person who took over that part from Ellen Green was Faith Prince.
Wow. Yeah, I can see. I can totally see her doing it.
First big shot in New York, and she was wonderful. And talk about an absolutely thankless job. I mean, taking over an iconic role like that. I mean, because let's face it, Audrey was Ellen.
Yeah. I mean, they even gave her the movie, and that's so rare.
Very rare. But there was nobody else who could possibly play it.
Except Faith Prince, who apparently did a very fine job.
I mean, Ellen in the movie and Faith taking over.
Right, exactly,
Brother. Faith did just a remarkable job, and what a joy. And we had a little bit of a reunion about a year ago. I did some concerts with her. Again, and that was a lot of fun because she works with Alex Rybeck, a dear friend and a great pianist. And we did 2 pianos with Faith, and that was a ball.
Wow.
Yeah.
And other folks that come to mind that you've worked with and dealt with, both positive and negative.
I had a long association with Ben Vereen.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Ben was...
Did we lose him?
No.
Oh, no.
Very, very much alive. Well,
cool.
He coached Usher for his role
in Chicago.
Yeah, he gave him a lot of the...
In fact, he coached all the Ushers, so now they give 2 playbills.
He's still...
You only have to tip him.
He's in the back of the house right now. Anyway... no, Ben's very, very alive and well, and Ben. My association with Ben was one of the finest artistic experiences I ever had in my life.
Wow.
Yeah, he was doing in nightclub and cabaret what was groundbreaking theatrical type presentations. He was doing characters. He had a segment of the show. I mean, besides the flashy Vegas stuff, and we did plenty of that because God knows Ben could, but within it,
magic to do.
Yeah, we did all of that. He had a section devoted to Burt Williams.
Oh, wow!
The legendary vaudevillian and star of the Ziegfeld Follies, who was the highest paid entertainer of his time. He was an African American performer who, because of the racial climate at the time, had to work in blackface.
Right.
And Ben did a 15-minute segment on Burt that was unlike anything I've ever seen in a nightclub, and I can honestly tell you that it was emotionally draining for everybody on that stage.
And what year? This would have been the
77, 78, right after Roots.
Wow.
And it was all I could do to keep it together as I'm conducting, because it was so powerful and so rich and so...
Did he do it in extra blackface, or did he just do it in his regular face?
Ben put blackface on and did the whole thing in costume and in character.
Wow.
And it was remarkable, absolutely remarkable.
So now you're doing a new show, a review, and one of the things that mentioned in the press materials is you've produced other things, but this seems to be the first show, quote unquote, that you've produced.
Yeah, as my work as a producer has mostly been. To date, has been involved, corporate parties, events, things like that.
Doesn't that mean just raising money? Isn't that what a producer is, or is it a different context here?
A producer is one of those catch-all phrases. Raising money is certainly a big part of it, but there's an artistic side to it, too. I mean, look, one of the great producers of all time, David Merrick, was very hands-on in terms of what was said and what was performed on that stage. Very hands-on, and if he didn't like something, the authors knew about it right away. But certainly the biggest part of what Merrick did in his career and his life was raise money. Now, today we don't have producers like that anymore. We have corporate producers, and we have
15 of them on one show.
Yeah. And when I say we don't have producers like that, we don't have ones that are quite that hands-on and quite that intimately involved from the creative side.
Unless you're Ariel Tepper and you're lunging at the young men. But no, I'm kidding.
Now, have you dug something up about me and Ariel?
I
worked with her once.
Well, she is the one. I hope I'm not mistaking the one, but the one that got into trouble on that show.
Oh, no, that wasn't Ariel.
I'm sorry, forgive me, Ariel.
No,
who was it?
I don't remember her name, but...
It was the Snoopy Charlie Brown kind of show. That was a pretty good show, but apparently she was...
I saw a picture of this woman, and I said, wait a minute. What's he complaining about?
She could get her own,
She's quite a tomato.
A tomato? I haven't heard that. How old are you, Barry?
Well, on my next birthday, February 4th, I will hit 60.
Any big plans to spend fairly
I just hope
momentous.
to be breathing.
Are you healthy? Are you well?
I am healthy.
Are you squeezing tomato? Do you have a tomato at home?
I do have a tomato. I have a 59-year-old tomato at home. And,
well, a little wrinkly at that point.
Not at all. Not this one.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, no. She's a hot tomato.
Hot tomato. Do you have any little grape tomatoes between you?
I have a gorgeous daughter by the name of Dory, who, by the way, is the choreographer-director of this piece. Her song, which is running at Birdland every Saturday and Sunday at 5:30.
Gotta put it in
315 West 44th Street, and a wonderful menu, I might add.
Let me ask you some Michael Regal questions, then.
What about him?
Since you're the producer of
this
thing.
Right.
So, her song is there. What's the capitalization? What does it cost to put 4 women on the stage in nice costumes with a band in a place like Birdland?
Let me just say this. I won't give you an exact dollar figure.
Of course not.
But I will say that in the history of show business, nothing has ever been done cheaper than this. For what we have.
The actors are paid, though. You got to pay them equity stuff.
But that's,
or not equity.
Oh, yes, they are equity.
So you have to...
At my insistence.
Cool.
I wanted them to be able to participate in the pension fund, and I am very proud to say that we are paying over equity scale.
By the way, you might as well just mention the names of the actresses since we're...
Please, they'd kill me if I didn't. And not in alphabetical order. We have Kelly McCormick.
Who is, by the way, married to a rabbi.
Kelly is a Rebbitzin. She is her husband.
McCormick. Is
Go figure.
And she's cute, too.
And she's gorgeous. Whoa.
All right, more than cute. She's very pretty.
I told her many times. I said, I'm a producer. I'm allowed to say this. You're gorgeous.
If the rabbi ever,
Rabbi's there all the time. A hell of a guy. Wonderful.
Well, I would hope so. Not hell of a guy. Heck of a guy.
Smart guy and a jazz fan to boot.
So you got Gabrielle Lee.
Gabrielle Lee's a wonderful, wonderful singer. Trisha Rappier. I mean, they're all wonderful singers.
And is Emma Zach's relation to...
Yes, she is Jerry Zach's daughter.
Okay.
And I hired her in spite of that. No, Emma came up to me and she said, she was very open about it. And as I was with her, and I told her, I said, you only got this job because you absolutely deserve to be here. It's on talent.
Yeah, at that stage it doesn't... She would have been happy if her dad got her the job. Who cares at that point?
She's a wonderful, wonderfully talented lady.
And again, her song is these women singing songs written by women, or at least half written by women. Sometimes the music,
sometimes completely.
Right, sometimes completely. Everyone from Carol Bayer Sager to Joni Mitchell. Joni Mitchell's written so many wonderful songs. Did you have to do Woodstock?
Well,
I mean,
did we have to? Yeah.
Okay. Because it was so iconic of the...
Well, the thing is that when I re-examined the material and I saw exactly what that lyric was, I said, considering the times that we live in, what's going on in the world today, I said, this is a perfect example of... The song was timely when it was written at the height of the Vietnam situation, and it is absolutely timeless now, because unfortunately the words are truer today than they were when she first wrote them.
Actually, you should probably sneak in Little Boxes, too, by Malvina Reynolds. That'd be a good one. It's
a
short song, too.
Okay, Little Boxes. I don't know that one.
Actually, Pete Seeger did it most notably, but there was Malvina Reynolds.
Okay.
I'll sing it for you off the air, but it's a classic.
We are always looking for new material. The version that we're doing right now, we are limited in time because of the venue, and we need to do an 80-minute version. But we hope to expand, add more material, new and different things. Let me just say quickly, as far as the musical underpinnings of this show, we are doing some things that are very true to the original performances and idioms that the songs were created in. Something like Shine on Harvest Moon, written by a woman. Nora Bayes, whose real name, by the way, was Dora Goldberg.
Oh, my God. Well, that was James Joyce's Nora, wasn't it? Or
I believe so.
Yeah.
No, James Joyce doesn't have any songs in this show, though.
Oh, no, he doesn't?
But we're working on
Ulysses, you're my man.
It's a blues by Bessie Smith.
I'm walking through Dublin all day.
Anyway, Dave, you're good.
Thank you very much.
What was I saying?
Nothing at all. Just radio, yeah.
Musical styles. But we do, I took some of this stuff. The version of Woodstock that we do is a completely new vocal arrangement that I've done, and the girls sing the living hell out of. We do, okay, here's one for you.
Sure.
Elvis Presley.
Yeah.
Elvis Presley's first big chart-topping #1 hit and the single biggest selling single of his entire career was Heartbreak Hotel.
Which was Mae Axton, was it?
Mae Axton.
And let's not forget also that Hound Dog may have been written by a man, but that was a woman's song. That was Big Mama Thornton.
There's great debate. Now, I may offend somebody here with this one. Lieber and Stoller.
Oh, I'm offended. What? No.
Name is on the copyright, but there is certainly much in dispute about the actual creation of that song truly being written by Big Mama Thornton.
Right.
Now, I'll let the lawyers fight that one out, but within what's on the copyright, Big Mama Thornton is credited as a co-writer.
Oh, so actually that could have been a song too.
There's a case to be made for Hound Dog being written by a woman.
Well, there is a case to be made for people to go see her song at Birdland is Friday and Saturday night, you said, right?
No, Saturday and Sunday.
Sorry, Saturday and Sunday evenings. And it's Birdland is, what's the address again?
315 West 44th Street between 8th and 9th.
Now, everybody will get to stare at all these lovely singers, but if you look at the piano, you will see the back of the head of the man I'm talking to. You never turn around once. But
I can't.
I guess. But it's a nice trio of a
wonderful
band.
trio. Cameron Brown on bass, Brian Grice on drums. Two absolutely superb musicians.
It's a good show. It's in the right venue, too. It really feels right at Birdland. So, folks, go see her song and tell him Dave sent you. Say hi to the piano player because he's Barry Levitt, and it's been a pleasure to have Barry in the neighborhood. Best of luck. What else are you working on, or is this the main thing in your arsenal right now?
I do a Sunday jazz brunch at Iridium on 51st and Broadway every Sunday from 11 to 3. Come down and see us there. I have a quartet, and I invite people up to sing and sit in with me.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
I'll be there. I'll get novelty tunes up the wazoo.
I might add, if you go to Birdland, they'll validate your parking, and it doesn't cost you much. So it's
only a Jew would think.
And the food is good. Not kosher, but it's very good.
Oh, well, you can have a salad. Thank you, Barry Levitt.
Thank you, Dave.